is also here. I'd love to know what he thinks. Former senior military intelligence officer. I'd love to know if the head of the army, head of the military, chief of staff, if he or she had the same sort of revelations. Maybe they wouldn't have the same scrutiny, but, well, you know, c'est la vie. If you want to go into politics and be prominent, whether they would still be in a job today.
No, they wouldn't.
End of. There you go. That's your answer.
Hopefully,
or a senior police officer.
Hopefully, they'd have the moral courage to resign themselves. But of course, she can't afford to resign because she can't afford not to have her ministerial top up because she's just bought this, you know, a working class girl £800,000 apartment nowhere near her constituency.
I don't begrudge her that. No. I mean, all credit. I have huge thing is people say, oh, people just got a problem with Angie because she's working class. They don't want her in power. As much as I disagree with her on virtually every single issue, as a person, as a woman, I like her. I've had 2 quite long sort of, you know, sessions chatting with her, you know, okay, alcohol was involved. She's good fun. You'd like her. I like another gobby woman. She's good fun. Yeah. Honestly, I like her. But she's quite clearly a chancellor who thinks she's cleverer than she actually is in terms of how she can do rinky-dink deals. Dodge a little bit of council tax here, dodge that. Oh, none of it's illegal. None of it's illegal, ever. It's just all a bit complicated. No one else I know has complicated tax affairs like that.
Yeah, well, and I admire her. I admire the fact that she's taken herself from living in a working-class environment as a teenage woman in a council estate and got herself into the position that she's in. But I dislike the hypocrisy of her turning around and saying she hasn't. She's not subject of social mobility. She's moved up to middle class now. And
if you're buying 800k 3-bedroom apartments on the Hove beachfront, you're middle class now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you know, say that this is something that everyone should aspire to, but that's not the Labour way of doing stuff. And again, her hypocrisy. You know, we've got questions over the capital gains tax when she first bought her properties because she didn't live with her new husband and children then. Yeah. And we've now got an issue where she's living with her divorced husband and children as the official residents.
I mean, I'll put it this way. She's very unlucky, isn't she, in terms of the legal advice she gets?
Extremely.
I mean, do not let this woman pick your lottery tickets. Don't like the way she picks lawyers. Well, it's interesting, isn't it? Because first she denied that, you know, basically it emerged, you know, someone, you know, I think it was a Daily Mail originally found out she was living in Hove, and they said, oh, she's actually not just on the beach there with a vape in a canoe. She actually lives there. Well, you know, what's she doing? She's an MP in Ashton-under-Lyme. She's got kids and her ex in a house in Manchester. She's got a Grace and Favour apartment at Admiralty in Westminster. What's she doing buying a place in Hove on the south coast? Okay, she's totally entitled to. She's got the money, so there you are. So she buys this place. They look it up, and then they go, oh, hold on a minute, and you can. All this stuff is publicly available. Yep. You know? This is not someone hacking. You know, this journalist doing their job. She hadn't paid the 70k council tax that would be due as a second homeowner. She denied everything. People were sent out to basically criticise journalists, but this is basically, you're just attacking because she's a working class woman. And then days after the denials, days and days, she secretly hires a leading barrister, a KC, an expert in this field, to check her tax files. He comes back to her on Monday, and obviously they went back and forth for a day. Apparently things were not clear. And on the Tuesday, she has to apparently go to the court to get them to lift this injunction regarding the trust set up for her son, because, of course, underage. But the Prime Minister went on telly on Monday at 2 o'clock and defended her. Did he know that she'd already got advice back from this KC at that time or not? Suddenly on Wednesday she comes clean and gets her bubble bath with Beth Rigby on Sky. She admits what's happening. She's all tearful, and then it's all she's just been trying to protect her children and their privacy and poor her, and she got bad, you know. But again, she hasn't said she got bad advice. She said she was told by her lawyers. It seems to me, if you look at the wording of what she said,
she's been very clever.
Well, it seems to me the lawyers told her, you don't have to pay this full 70k council tax. You can save 40k. Apologies, stamp duty. I'm mixing up the scandals. Silly me. It's such an easy mistake to make, isn't it, Ange? But she says in the statement, the advice. But had they, she doesn't say, I explained my full financial situation and they gave me the wrong advice. Because if those lawyers did know the full situation, Angie and old mucker, if they did and they gave you the wrong advice, you should probably sue them. Yep. You should probably report them to the solicitor's body because they've given you the wrong advice. But I don't think she's going to do that, because I think she didn't give them the full information. Now, I wouldn't know. And I'm guessing you wouldn't know. And I'm guessing 99.9% of people wouldn't know. Indeed, perhaps many lawyers and tax experts wouldn't know. What is the situation? If you've got a trust and you no longer have any money in that trust, but you still part own it, but you're on the deeds, but you don't have money. I mean, it's complicated. But you know what I would do if I had complicated tax affairs? I'd talk to a specialist.
Exactly.
Maybe if you are the housing secretary, you might know some lawyers.
Would you know anyone that would have any advice on?
I mean, are there any lawyers?
Does
anyone know if there are any lawyers working? I mean, she could have gone to someone who's trained as a solicitor, the business secretary. Oh no, sorry, Jonathan Reynolds is not trained as a solicitor. Again,
maybe she did go to him.
An easy mistake to make.
Yes.
Or someone perhaps who would really know about tax, who'd worked at the Bank of England for 10 years, like the Chancellor. No, sorry, 5 years. I'm sorry, we have a government of chancellors.
Yeah, yeah. And they're bigger chancellors than the previous government, which they criticised, and she called them scum for. And she needs to do the right thing and step aside, because this is going to go on and on and on, and it's going to detract from Keir Starmer's reset.
But yes, by the way, we are now in phase 2 as of Monday, and it's all going brilliantly.
Yes.
I think we'll probably announce phase 3 on Monday.
Well, that's the Labour Party conference, will be the start of phase 3. But he needs to get all this cleared up by then, and it's not going.
Well, it won't be. Realistically, these investigations by standards officers and things seem to usually take quite a few weeks, sometimes even months. Sometimes unreasonable amounts of time.
Yeah.
Here's the thing: if Angela Rayner can provide to this standards advisor a letter that she has got, an exchange of emails that she's written to her advisor and said, look, I've got this situation, I've got this trust for my son, but I've not got any money in it, but although weirdly I seem to have taken £162,000 out of it by buying out my quarter share. So the trust, which is funded by an NHS payout for her son's disabilities as a result of negligence by the NHS when he was born, tragically, very prematurely. We didn't need to know any of this. I don't think any of this should have been put into the public domain by her, but she chose to do that. I don't know what it's got. I don't know her having a disabled son has got anything to do with whether she should pay the right tax or not. It's called
deflection.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, poor me, poor me. I'm so sorry about what's happened to her son and things, but I'm just not entirely sure what that's got anything to do with her paying her stamp duty.
Nothing to do with it.
But if she's got a letter and an email where she said, here are my situation, I don't have money in it, I believe, but this is the situation. Does this count as my first home or my second home, etc., etc.? If she's laid out all of her details and the lawyer has come back and said, oh no, it's absolutely clear, you only have to pay 30 grand in stamp duty, not 70 grand. As far as I'm concerned, although she'll still have to pay it and HMRC will still probably fine her, probably about another 12 grand on top of that is the normal form. She's in the wrong, but she should probably take action against her lawyers.
Yep.
If she hasn't given them full information, you just told, no, yes, is this your main home, your only home? Yes, it is. Well, if that is what she says, she hasn't given them full information, then I'm sorry, she has to go.
It's false representation. She has to go. And I've been onto the government website to see how easy it is to get advice on what your stamp duty should be, and it's really, really simple. It's actually one of the more simple government websites, and gives you all the caveats for these are areas where you can have complexity.
But if also when you know that your tax affairs are complicated and you got in a bit of trouble before. That Lord Ashcroft book about your council tax, all of that. She may or may not have done anything wrong in that. She's been no prosecutions have happened as a result of it, but it was a long time ago. I know what I think happened, and I'm pretty sure most people paying attention to that story know as well. You'd think you'd be extra careful. If you know you're under scrutiny, you've got to be extra careful. Look, things like, I'm vaguely above the parapet, publicly wise, right? I'm not the Deputy Prime Minister of this country. I know people who I'll just put up a shed or put up this, but honestly, I get planning permission to put up anything. I go
your
buy,
pictures. I've seen the application.
Buy the book. I go buy the book deliberately because I don't want anyone to have anything on me because I want to be completely above the book. Like, what is the tax due on that? Fine, that's the tax. I don't. Also, great advice I once had from my dad: you never mess with the tax man.
Yeah.
They'll always come back to bite you. Pay your due tax. And this is the other thing. She's a hypocrite. She's not just a chancellor, she's a hypocrite. Because she's the person who's like, oh, Tories are all scum, who want low tax and everything. She's the one who says, you don't pay tax, that's money that, it's like Nadeem Sahawi's tax, that's money that's missing from the exchequer. That can, 40 grand. 40 grand could pay a good nurse's salary, thank you very much, and all the extra national insurance and tax on that. she says one thing and then she acts completely differently in her own private life, and then goes all a bit tearful.
Does a
tearful.
Rachel Reeves. You know, and we're seeing a pattern here the whole way through, and the pattern is just
inadequate women playing the woman card, which I find despicable.
Yes. Yeah. And they're letting themselves down. They're letting women down. They've let the Labour Party down. They're letting Keir Starmer down. They're letting the country down.
Yep.
It's time that these people start to take responsibility and go.
Yeah, and this is the thing. This is now embarrassing for Keir Starmer. Here's the thing. Do you think he wants her to go? She's a challenger to him. She's also independently elected from him, Deputy Leader of the Labour Party. He appoints her as Deputy Prime Minister. It doesn't have to. There's no official role. There's no official salary for it. She has a cabinet minister's salary. I think it's an extra 62k or something. Just comes from being the Housing Secretary. Yep. But you don't get paid extra just simply for being Deputy Prime Minister or being Deputy Leader. Now, on one level, he'd want her to get.
He's tried to give her the heave. Already.
Well, exactly. He'd want to give her the heave ho because she's a threat to him. However, he's got to be seen to be standing by her. But every day he stands by her when the public, and it looks like the early sort of straw polls are suggesting most of the public, frankly, don't think that her story washes.
Yep.
It damages him more. But he can't afford to lose her and possibly at some point his Chancellor. I mean, he's already lost a Transport Secretary. Yep. He's lost two Chiefs of Staff. Well, I mean, you know,
he's also
Communications Director,
Transport Secretary. He's lost his anti-corruption minister to corruption. You couldn't
claim
make
a
it
corruption allegation. So.
Yes. You couldn't make any of this up.
By the way, just in case you're wondering, Labour have only been in power since July last year.
I know.
This is 2 terms worth of scandal. In basically a year.
It's the first scandal for phase 2. Come on, put it into context.
You make a very, very fair point.
It's the first scandal of phase 2.
Very, very fair
point. So he's only done one now.
I tell you what, if you see how bad phase 1 was and you see how bad phase 2 started, phase 3 is going to be an absolute. Let's go with hoot. I was going to say something show, but you know what I mean. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Phone lines are already very, very packed. Lots of messages coming in. It's the only show in town, really. It really is. It's the only show in town. I mean, other than, obviously, we need to talk at some point about what Nigel Farage had to say about, us being like North Korea over the arrest of Graham Linehan for some tweets which talked about on the show a lot yesterday, but also the Met chief, as we reported yesterday, Sir Mark Rowley, basically saying, OK, can the politicians please change the law so we know whether or not we're supposed to police tweets rather than streets or not, which frankly I think is a little bit of a questionable thing for him to claim because, mate, you are absolutely able to decide your own priorities. I know this by the fact that you don't bother arresting shoplifters and it's the law to arrest shoplifters.
Yeah, well, also, constables, by the very sworn position that they're in, make the decision as to whether an arrest is proportionate and lawful themselves.
Exactly.
And therefore they can't be ordered to make an arrest.
Although from what I can understand from coppers I know very well as friends, that actually a lot of them are just so terrified of the DEI going on in their own police stations that they basically go, it involves trans, we must get involved. Look, I want to hear your thoughts on all of this. I'd like to say the only really good news story this week is that Lush closed its doors for a whole day, all of the stores. Something to do with Gaza, in solidarity with Gaza. They're all a bit like vegan and right on and all that. I have to say, any day when Lush is not stinking out the high street, I have to cross the road rather than go by a Lush, is a good day. Feel free to support Gaza by being closed every single day and just going online, please.
Yeah, I think it's Israel's use of the bath bombs that they bought from Lush to drop on Gaza, which took Lush
tell you what, Lush bath bombs will be enough to clear any state, I can assure you.
It's a chemical weapon. It's illegal to use.
Genuinely can't go within about 200 yards. The smell is so horrific. Have a great day, Lush staff. You're back at work today. Well done, because Gaza's all sorted. Well done. Really, really meaningful protest there. 10:22. These people are just pathetic, aren't they? 10:22.